let's turn to what's going on in D.C. today. This is a sort of a funny little drama of people I don't like. And so I'm enjoying it. Mike Johnson is probably the second most powerful theocrat we've ever had in office in this country. The first being Mike Pence. And, of course, he was vice president. Mike Johnson, in an interview last night with News Nation, talking about superstar Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. And this is the first time he has sort of like stepped out of his genteel demeanor to slag one of his fellow colleagues. He's doing this because he knows the Democrats have already said, we will essentially protect his speakership for the time being. Basically, I think giving us an indication that there was a trade over the supplemental war aid, Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and some aid to Gaza. Here is Mike Johnson with News Nation's Blake Berman.
Let's talk about your future.
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Mm-hmm.
No fan of yours.
Bless her heart. Yeah.
Is she a serious lawmaker?
Oh, pause it. Oh, and there you go. Bless her heart. So we now know that is, that is the nasty iteration of that. Incidentally, when I say that too, that's what I mean. Yeah. I mean, F them.
It's different coming from like a very religious fundamentalist to say bless her.
Well, exactly. Yeah. It just goes to show like I'm also insincere when I say it in a way that seems like I actually do care about that person. But go ahead.
No fan of yours.
Bless her heart. Yeah.
Is she a serious lawmaker?
I don't think she's proving to be. No, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about her. I've got to do my job, and we do the right thing, and we let the chips fall where they may. And that's my philosophy. That's how we're governing. We're gonna keep the train on the tracks and show the American people that not just what we're against, but what we're for. That there's a conservative agenda that is necessary to get the country back on the right track, and the way for us to do that is to keep and grow the House majority. Descending into chaos and closing the House down and vacating the chair again is exactly the opposite of what needs to happen.
Let's talk about
what a rhino this guy is. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's always standing by the bat phone. She's got all of her Google alerts going.
That was I mentioned.
Constantly updating. And as soon as he says that, Marjorie Taylor Greene schedules this press conference for this morning.
I think the American people need to see a recorded vote of does the members of Congress support the uniparty? Is this what they support? I think every member of Congress needs to take that vote and let the chips fall where they may. And so next week, I am going to be calling this.
Pause it for 1 second. One of the things that I think people aren't talking about is how much Mike Johnson and Marjorie Taylor Greene agree on chips.
Gambling
and chips and gravity. Those two have found common cause for chips falling where they may.
I do look forward to the vote on does members of Congress support the uniparty.
Well, this is the interesting dynamic here, and I think it's part of the Democrats' calculation. They seem to believe that, with good reason, even if they were to throw the House in chaos again by not helping Mike Johnson and having the Republicans go for iteration in terms of leadership, putting aside that they probably made a deal with Johnson for the funding. But they also know that simply voting in a way that maintains Johnson's speakership is in and of itself a wedge issue for some of these Republicans. And it'll be interesting to see if Marjorie Taylor Greene continues to essentially take the sledgehammer to that wedge and pounding on it. But go back a little bit. It's nice, again, to hear them so in sync when it comes to chips and falling.
Every member of Congress needs to take that vote and let the chips fall where they may. And so next week, I am going to be calling this motion to vacate. Absolutely calling it. I can't wait to see Democrats go out and support a Republican speaker and have to go home to their primaries and have to run for Congress again, having supported a Republican speaker, a Christian conservative. I think that'll play well. I'm excited about it. I think
so the interesting thing about this is that she's making it like she has a super plan in which to backfoot Democrats. And the irony, of course, is that the vast majority of these Democrats, particularly ones in any sort of like purplish frontline districts, as it were, are desperate to show that they can reach across the aisle.
They love it, yeah.
They love that stuff, sadly, in my estimation. If only Democratic voters would punish Democrats for doing anything that is helpful to Republicans. But we're not quite there yet.
Let the chips fall where they may.
Swing State says, what are the chances that if MTG called this vote and the Dems would renege and vote for Jeffries? I mean, Jeffries could get the speakership, but they would still not have the majority. So there's really not necessarily a lot that could happen in terms of legislation. I guess theoretically what you could do is maybe, well, I don't even know if you could rejigger the rules at that point. You wouldn't be able to pass any other operations. It would be basically be frozen. And it's probably not worth their while if they made an agreement with Johnson. But it will, who knows how long that agreement was for. We'll give you 2 votes. We'll give you 3 votes. Who knows? In a moment, we're going to be talking to Tyler Vassar. He is a letter carrier and a shop steward in the National Association Letter Carriers, Branch 9. And we're seeing in that union sort of the same thing we've seen in other unions, is that there's a growing sort of like members, grassroots movement to become a little bit more militant. And it certainly worked out with the UAW. Then we'll also be talking to David Dayen, executive editor of American Prospect, about both Live Nation and non-compete clauses. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.